I hate gift giving and receiving.
Receiving gifts is so weird. What do you say? Thank you?
This is Coffee Convos with Kail Lowry and Lindsie Chrisley.
I really want you to be in your feels, Kail.
That does not interest me whatsoever.
I feel very attacked by you.
A spirited discussion about motherhood, friendship, family, and life in the public eye.
I'm just not with the fakery anymore.
There's a fakery bakery around here.
Here's Kail and Lindsie.
Good morning, Lindsie Chrisley.
Are we on air?
We're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
I hope you're ready for this shit show of a story right now. So Kristen was going to Austin, Texas, and I begged her to let me come with. I was not invited at all. And I was like, just please let me go. Like, I want to be there too. And to get on the plane. We get on the last minute flight, and when I tell you that this fucking sick ass flight had so much turbulence that I had my head in my lap ready to vomit, I pulled the puke bag, the waste bag, out of the seat in front of me and was holding it because I was going to throw up. It was insane. And me and Kristen look at each other. We're like, this is not good. This is not fucking good. I truly thought to myself that we were all going to go down on this plane. So not only that, but just to start this trip, the flight was an hour delayed. So we have a connecting flight from Dallas to Austin. And Austin, the flight from Dallas to Austin was an hour. And that kept, so first because our original flight was delayed, that one we missed. But then we didn't miss it because it kept getting delayed and then delayed again. And then it would get delayed again and again and again. And so with the turbulence and then almost missing it, but then not missing it, we were like, what the fuck? So we get on the app from the plane and we see you can change your flight for free. So we were like, perfect. We'll get on the next connecting flight to Austin. And it says there's 2 seats left in first class. So we're like, bet, we'll get those. Kristen's like, because we didn't book our flight together. We booked them separate. Right. So we had to both get on the app at the same time. And she shows me the 2 seats. We go to book them at the same time. We both click it at the same time. Hers says confirmed. Mine says I can't get on the flight. So I'm like, okay, like it's fine. Like you continue without me. I'll stay in Dallas. Like it's fine. It's not a big deal. But then she's like, what the fuck? Like this is just a lot. That one gets delayed. Like I don't even know what the situation was. But then she's like, well, let me just, because the other one, the original one is now fine. It's just going to be delayed. I'll just try to get back on that one. Long story short, we are in Dallas, stuck in Dallas. We had to cancel the reservation for the hotel in Austin, which was like $350 fucking dollars. And then they were like, well, we actually can't do it. You need to go through management. And we're like, well, you said you're going to transfer us to a manager. And then they never did.
So you asked for the manager.
Yeah. So it was just like, all of this was kind of out of everybody's control. So like, I understand like the weather policies and like things being out of, everybody's control, but like, it's not also in our control either. So what do we do in a situation like this? So long story short, Kristen, did you ever get the money back for that hotel? No, not yet. So we still have to call management. And we're literally at the airport at DFW.
Oh, so you guys still have not made it to Austin?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Somewhere that got lost in translation. I thought that you guys had actually made the connector and
no, we never made it. And we had to, so we're at a hotel in DFW and we were actually going to try to leave today. But because when we called the airline to explain the situation, which obviously they understood, they were like, okay, like that's not a problem. We'll refund you for the connecting flight and get you have to be on the first flight back home. Like that's their policy is like, we'll get you on the next flight, but it has to be home. And we were like, but those times don't work because we both have to work today. Like that's the problem was like, I have to record. She has work to do. And so she ended up working with us. Thank fucking God. And so we're able to leave tomorrow, but I'm leaving tomorrow. Are you leaving tomorrow? We leave the same flight. Okay, so we're both leaving tomorrow. But long story short, is a fucking shit show getting here.
So you guys are actually never going to Austin?
No, we're never going to Austin now.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of chaos. I'm glad that, honestly, I was just eating a patty melt last night and not doing what you guys were doing.
Eating a what?
Patty melt.
What the fuck is that?
Huh? You never had a patty melt?
I've never even heard of a patty melt.
Oh, hold on, ma'am. Wait, is it spelled Paddy or Patty? Patty melt. Okay. Shut up, you guys. Okay. A patty melt is a sandwich consisting of ground beef patty with melted cheese topped with caramelized onions between 2 slices of griddled bread. It is unclear.
So it's a cheeseburger.
No, it's not. It was unclear when the patty melt was invented, but records exist of them having been commercially served as early as the 1940s.
It's a form of a cheeseburger.
No, because it has properties of a grilled cheese also, because it's like grilled on both sides. Like, have you never been to Waffle House and gotten a patty melt?
I've never been to Waffle House, period.
That's the first problem.
I've never been to Waffle House.
So I was eating a patty melt with someone last night, and the said person was like, yeah, patty melts are so good. I used to allow myself to have one a week in college, and I would put ketchup on it. And then we got in this debate on like, what is the proper condiment for a patty melt, and it's mayonnaise.
Yes. Right off the top of my head, for what you just described, I would put mayonnaise on that.
Right?
I can't say whether or not, sometimes I like the mayonnaise and ketchup together, but like from what you described, I feel like mayonnaise is a good one.
You know what I think you guys should do so that you're productive today? I think that you need to research places in Dallas that have patty melts and go and try one.
Well, see, the problem we're having right now is that we tried to Uber Eats and or DoorDash. They do not service this area. And so we also don't have a car. So the chances of us leaving this hotel today are slim to none.
The fact that you guys did all of the things that you did to literally sit in a Snuggie at a hotel sounds absolutely horrifying. Like, I hate that for you.
I also hate it.
I also always try to prevent flights that I have to do a connector.
Well, so we did. We tried. Kristen tried to, but there was no direct flights to Austin. There was none.
Like, why?
I don't know. And that's like and I was like, because we flew American too, and I actually prefer Delta. Ever since you told me you prefer Delta, I flew Delta and I loved it. Mm-hmm. And there was there was flights, direct flights, but they were booked. So this was our only option. That
was just your first problem. At the point that you saw that the direct flight was already booked, you should have known it was going to be a shit show, and immediately, like, it's just not a plan.
Yeah. I told Kristen, I was like, if you think that the turbulence is bad right now, I said, just wait till we get on a smaller flight to Austin. We both looked at each other and we were like, there's no fucking way. But the weather didn't allow for it anyway.
Like, why is turbulence a thing?
I need to mention something really briefly that does not need to be a long-winded conversation, but just like a minor, and I feel like I'm speaking for all the fucking people. Public school is not free. Okay. I don't know who decided or who thought that it was a good idea to start the rumor that public school is free, but it's not. The amount of things that get sent home for like costume type of outfits and dress codes for certain events and things like that. I have so many children, and I just spent over $150 on 2 of my kids because they have a dress code for an event at school, and we don't have those things. And it was very specific in terms of color and what it needs to be, and we didn't have those things. And so yes, I could have gone to Goodwill and that could have been an option, but I was afraid of like going to multiple and then not finding what I needed still, because it's kind of out of season. And so I just wanted to share my frustration with you and, the rest of Coffee Combos listeners that whether you have money or you don't have money, public school is not free. End rant.
I have a lot to say about that actually, because one, I always feel so sad for the kids that cannot participate because their parents don't like have the financial ability to buy some of these items that you might not just like have randomly in your closet. So that's number one. I think that we need to normalize dress up days that are things that all kids can participate. So whether that be like mix match socks or something like that, like regular items that you would just regularly typically have at home.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, Kristen and I were actually having a private conversation when we were looking over my schedule, because she was like, I have never seen a school have so many like events that Jackson signed up for, or like dress up days or whatever. Like, they're always dressing up. And she was like, I don't know if Kail like just doesn't tell me about it, if they don't participate, or if it's just like not as much. but it is a lot. And like, I can remember specifically growing up that we had pajama day in 4th grade, and I wanted like a nice set of pajamas to wear to school.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents weren't, at this time of my life, were not like financially what I would say above average at all. Like, I mean, they were raising at this point 4 children and very middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Going to buy like specific pajamas for a school dress up day just probably wasn't part of the budget.
Right.
But my dad took me to Gap, and I got a specific pair of pajamas to wear to this dress up day. And did I have to go to Gap? No, but like, I don't even know if they had Target back then. If they did.
I didn't have a Target back then. I didn't know about Target until I was an adult.
We didn't go to it, and like Gap, I guess, was like the next best thing. And so we went to it, and it was like $75 or something like that for a pair of pajamas. And I felt so bad, but like, I also didn't want to miss out and be the only kid not in a pair of pajamas. Because growing up, I didn't really wear pajamas. I just wore like t-shirts to bed.
Right. No, to answer, well, I don't know if it was a question, but Kristen, you said that Kristen doesn't know if we do it. Typically, I don't participate because like there was I guess it was like a Spirit Week situation. And it was like dress like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, like all of that. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not doing this for all my kids. And honestly, my kids don't, if my kids want to do it, I will do it. But it's not really in the budget because I don't have some of those things laying around because my kids' styles are very like athleisure, athletic, outside of Isaac. Very much athleisure. That's all they have. Like, we don't have any special stuff. And I don't say this to be like an asshole. Like, I hope I'm not coming off as an asshole or anything, but it does make me sad because I came from a place of not having any money. You know what I mean? Like, I came from a place where I was on government assistance, welfare, all of these things. And I know that there are people still out there that have that and their kids go to the same school as mine. And I know they can't afford it. That's not really like, can we, like you suggested, let's come up with ideas that, people have these things laying around, and like Lincoln told me, and I had to double check the schedule. So for the one event that's coming up next month, I said, he said it had to be a long sleeve button down, a white long sleeve button down. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I think it could just be any white shirt. And I'm sure any white shirt will suffice. But the fact that he was so specific in a long sleeve white button down, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. And then there was a whole fiasco with that because I didn't realize, I was like, okay, Lincoln and Lux both have the same event. And I go on Amazon, I get a shirt for both of them, not realizing I accidentally ordered a long sleeve girls button down with the fringe right here. So then I was like, shit. So then I had to cancel that. And then I replaced an order. I got them the same shirt in boys. Well, then Lux's wasn't going to ship until the end of April. And I was like, well, shit, now I got to cancel that one. And I got to redo that one. Well, then they didn't have my kids don't have solid color shoes. And that wasn't part of the dress code. They could wear any shoes. But then again, like, if I'm going to spend the money on these outfits, they have to be nice so that they can rewear them or their brothers can wear them later on too. So it's just like, I just wanted to vent about that. And
I just don't remember having that like growing up. I remember when we were, we didn't do the dress up days. It was more like worksheets that were associated with
like a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of like what we were doing. And it would be like a packet. So like if we were studying, for example, like bears or something, I remember doing that in like 2nd or 3rd grade. We just got like this packet of all these like coloring sheets and activity sheets and crossword puzzles and like all that kind of stuff. And we did that. It wasn't like we were dressing up to be a part of that. And everybody like had the same thing. And I'm big on inclusion. Like, every single person have access to the same thing at school.
I 100% agree with you on that. 100%.
I will tell you something else that like makes me sad sometimes too, when I really start to think about it. When I pack Jackson's lunch, like, I think about if there's a child sitting next to him that might want his lunch instead of them getting school lunch.
Oh, that kills me. Luckily, Lincoln and Lux's school, they offer free lunch and free breakfast. So I'm like, yes, it might not be the best, but they also cut up healthy snacks in the cafeteria and they send them home with all the students. All the
Oh,
students.
really?
Yes. So every day, the other day I was cracking the fuck up because I don't know if Lux told his teacher like he really liked it or someone in his family really liked it. He pulled out 5 bags of cut up melon and he sat in the car and he plopped it right on my center console and was like, here, this is for you. As if I'm starving and I need melon. And I'm like, I don't even like honeydew. Like, I don't, what did you tell your teacher?
That's so funny. Honestly, honeydew, I'm glad that you said that because no one needs to argue with me when I say this. This is a fact, not an opinion. It is absolutely the worst melon.
I hate honeydew and I hate cantaloupe.
Oh, no, I don't hate cantaloupe. And if you are from the South, you always eat cantaloupe. Like it's always on your table when you have like breakfast or you have like Southern dinner. It's always like a cut up fresh cantaloupe from the produce stand. Yeah.
I hate cantaloupe. It has no flavor. It's so.
Yes, it does. If you have the right one. If you have the right one.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe like up north, we don't have good cantaloupe because cantaloupe is awful. Let's switch gears really quick and just talk about stamps.com. I want to remind you guys that 2023 is very much well underway. And so you don't have to wait any longer to level up your small business and kind of set your year up for success. So stamps.com lets you print your own postage and shipping labels right from your home or office. And it's ready to go in minutes so you can get back to running your business sooner.
Postage rates actually just increased again. And luckily, stamps.com has the best discounts in the industry with rates that you literally cannot find anywhere else, like up to 84% off USPS and UPS. Plus, stamps.com automatically tells you your cheapest and fastest shipping options, which I absolutely love.
Set up your business for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code COFFEE for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale, no long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code COFFEE.
You think Vanderpump Rules is messy now?
It's always been messy. I'm Jax Taylor, the OG Pump Rules villain.
And I'm Brittany Cartwright, wife of the OG villain. And we've got a new podcast, When Reality Hits.
We'll definitely be talking about Vanderpump Rules, past and present, and oh my, Scandal.
Ugh. And you'll get a look at what life is like for us now as we figure out marriage and parenthood. Little cruisy.
And friendships, and definitely feuds.
It's our real reality, with and without cameras.
And sometimes with special guests like our celeb friends, former castmates, and other veterans of reality TV.
So listen to and follow When Reality Hits with us, Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright.
At Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I want to read this from the Facebook group really quick because this actually happened to someone in my personal life not too long ago, as in like last week. And so when I started reading it, I was like, wow, this is really crazy. Does anyone else go through their significant other's phones when they are sleeping? I did last night and found a few things that I'm not okay with, but I don't know how to bring it up without having to admit to looking through his phone.
Here's the thing. I used to go through Chris's phone a lot when he was sleeping because he was very untrustworthy and a liar. And it got to a point where it was like, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this, I either need to stay and shut the fuck up or not go through his phone or leave. Like, I just need to leave. I don't feel like in this point of my life, I'm 31, I'm not sneaking to look through your phone. If I feel uneasy about something, I should be able to ask you and say, hey, like, I really don't feel comfortable with something that happened. Do you mind showing me your phone? If they say no, then we have no business doing this. And if they say yes and they show me and it's nothing, then, you know, thank you so much. Like, now I don't feel the need to go through your phone. Have you ever gone through a phone while someone was sleeping?
Yeah, I definitely have in college. But it wasn't because I was suspecting cheating. It was because I was convinced that Will's family was like talking shit about me and I wanted to prove it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I have definitely asked. I'm like, does your family talk about me?
So
I completely understand that.
And then I found text messages in his phone where someone in his family, because Will didn't go on a guy's trip because he wanted to be home for the weekend, they were calling him Mr. Chrisley, and it pissed me off. So like, then I don't think I ever went on his phone again because I got so pissed off by like what I read. It wasn't going to change anything in our situation. So it wasn't really something that I necessarily needed to read. I brought something on myself that wasn't even necessary. And quite frankly, it wasn't even my business because I wasn't part of the text messages. But in a situation to where I'm in a relationship that I feel like I need to go on your phone because I think you are cheating or doing something that is crossing any types of lines or boundaries, immediately we have a problem that I have a feeling that something like that's going on.
Right.
Like we have a problem before I ever even go through the phone. And at this stage of my life and what happened in my last relationship, I'm going to trust my gut instinct. And if I think something's going on, I'm immediately going to act on it, because I think by me not acting and playing cool girl and being like, I'm not going to be crazy and I'm not going to be this, it was a disservice to myself.
Yeah. It
prolonged a situation that didn't need to continue going on. And honestly, you should be able to have we talked about the open phone policy?
Not that I can recall.
I feel like at this age, at 33 years old, I don't have anything to hide from anybody that I would be with. I think that there are certain things on my phone that I'm like, okay, to protect someone else's privacy. Like if I was texting you, for example, or I was texting Kristen and we were, like talking shit about our relationship and we were just like having girl talk. I don't think that somebody that I'm with should go and read those messages because that's an invasion of the other person's privacy. But if they are on my phone looking at anything else, I don't really care.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you're going on my phone because I'm not doing anything on my phone that I shouldn't be doing on my phone.
Right. No, I like the open phone policy. I didn't always like it, but I feel like the older I get and the less secretive I want to be and the less shit that I feel like I mean, we all know that I've cheated. I've been cheated on. So like, there've definitely been times where I was doing not even necessarily cheating, but doing questionable shit. I'm at a point now where it's like, if anyone asks to go through my phone, just not even go through it, but like, can I use your phone? I don't need to like worry. And we should have an open phone policy. Everyone's entitled to privacy, but if you're not doing anything wrong, then you're not worried about that. And I actually saw a man talk about this on TikTok a while back. And he was saying that. He was like, if your spouse, like your life partner, your lover, this person that you share a bed with, a home with, children with, whether it's a man, woman, whatever, if they can't go through your phone at any given time, that is a problem, and it's not about privacy.
Mm-hmm. It's not about, I personally think that it really is about control. When you don't want somebody going on your phone or they don't want you going on theirs, it might not even necessarily, yes, or they may be trying to control what they don't want you to see because they might be doing something wrong. Yes, but I do think that it boils down to control more than privacy.
I agree. And that's a problem in and of itself, right? Like that's something that you have to go to therapy about. And it's like, if you're truly not hiding something, which I've been guilty of like previously getting upset if someone goes through my phone, even though there's nothing on there, because I don't know how something could be, misconstrued. And it was a control thing. I'm not hiding anything, but I don't want you to touch my shit. And that's a problem. Do I need to be in this relationship if I don't even feel comfortable with you touching my phone or picking it up or putting it in your pocket, things like that. So therapy is always a good option.
Wait, how do you feel, and then we'll move on from this, how do you feel about being with someone who is like a new partner, let's say like Elijah, for example?
Okay.
Hot neighbor. We love him. Let's say that he goes on your phone.
Okay.
Do you feel like communications with your ex-husband or somebody that you're co-parenting with is an off-limit search? Because in my past relationship, one of the main threads, like it was a go on my phone behind my back and I'm legitimately doing nothing. So like wait until I get in the shower, wait till I'm out of the room, whatever, like pick up my phone, go through it, and always go through my ex-husband's thread.
So he felt threatened by Will.
I would only assume.
So that one's weird because the way that he did it, I feel like waiting until you get in the shop, like if you wanted to know and you weren't hiding anything, you can just ask me. Mm-hmm. I personally don't care because I don't have text communication with 2 out of 3. And the first one is like, I don't even consider him like an ex. Like we just had an immaculate conception.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the same hand, it's like if I'm talking to one of my children's fathers about something regarding the kids, or sometimes personal feelings do get involved still, unfortunately, like it is what it is. That is its own complicated mess. And as long as you're not being unfaithful, I do feel like why would your new partner even go there if they're probably going to hurt their own feelings because they're going to have opinions and not be able to be included.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't love if Elijah did it, but he better not get mad at me over anything that he sees. Like I could read right now on this podcast, I could literally scroll through my baby daddy text messages. I do feel like it's a little bit off limits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just think that if we are texting and most of our text messages are regarding co-parenting, if you're not co-parenting with us, then like, why are you reading our communications?
Right. Because you don't get to have an opinion at that point, and I'm not asking you for an opinion, and you don't need to have an attitude with me all day because of something that you saw in a conversation that didn't concern you and you're upset about it. Like that would bother me.
And then this particular situation that happened, it was like such a far back scroll on the text messages that there was references to things that happened that were going on with Will and I prior to me being with this person. And they got upset about something that happened before them. So I'm like, that's just like, it's not happening now. So like, why are we concerned? I just think that that's messy and like a slippery thing. I would never go on, if I was with somebody that had kids and an ex-wife.
Right. You're not going to go look at their thread.
That's the last thread I'm honestly clicking on. Like I'm typing in keywords in the search bar. Like I'm typing in sex in the search bar. I'm typing in like all these things.
I'm typing in my own name in the search bar
to see what type of shit they're talking about you.
Wait, can I just tell you really quickly? Not that long ago, I'm not going to say when, but to your point about the family talking shit, I did type in my own name, and I also typed in she, just SHE, because I wanted to know if they like you just said she, referring to me. Absolutely nothing came up, so I was like, oh, okay.
I cannot. Okay.
So I have done that.
This is another one from the Facebook group. It says, stop saying women don't cook like grandma because some of y'all men don't pay bills like granddad either. Case closed.
I saw that one and I was crying because I was like, but honestly though, like these men, like not Gen Z, what are we? What millennials, Gen Z, like I don't know about Gen Z actually, but millennials specifically, like you want to do this 50-50 thing, but you want her to have like the gender role of like what women did in the 50s, but you're not even paying bills like men did in the 50s. So you can fuck all the way off.
That's what she said. I cannot. I actually hate gender role stereotypes. Like absolutely hate them because sometimes like someone just might be better at something than someone else. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't they be taking on that task? Right.
Totally.
When Will and I were married, he was, I won't say a better laundry person than me. He was just more efficient than I was.
Right.
So why would we not choose for the more efficient clothes cleaner than because I'm a woman, I need to do the laundry, or, because I'm a woman, I need to clean the toilets, or like, why?
No, I love that. I love what can you just say it again so I can get it clipped so Kristen can clip it for me? You said, why wouldn't the person who's better at it, or what did you say?
Why would the person who is more efficient at a task not do said task versus you doing it and not being as efficient?
Right. So like, I'm not great at cooking. If my partner is a phenomenal cook, why would I cook?
Why are we all doing a disservice to ourselves to fit in a gender role?
Period. And that's what I try to teach my kids. Like that's what, and I never know if I'm getting through to them, but I'm like, you guys have to learn all of these things. Like you guys have to learn to clean properly. You guys have to learn to cook. You guys have to learn to do all the different things, at least a little bit, because you don't know if your partner, when you grow up, whether it's a man or a woman, you don't know what they're going to be good at. So you need to be able to do a little bit of everything at the very least. And then, you know, when you're an adult, you decide who does what because of who's better or who's more efficient. And unfortunately, that sucks for the couples that like one person is literally better at everything, because then how do you divide and conquer? That's really tough, especially if, you know, in my case, like I can clean. I'm not super efficient in laundry. I can do it, and my cooking is very minimal. So like my partner, but I'll pay all the bills and that's fine. Like I'm okay with it. So am I the man from 1950s or like, what is this?
So one time we were having like a group family call. I think my sister was on it. My dad was on it. My mom was on it.
That's so cool. I hope to do that when my kids get older. We
were all just like shooting the shit. And my dad was like, they were laughing about my lack of cooking skills. And I was like, I honestly like hate it. Like everything about it, I hate. Can I do it? Yes. Do I like to do it? No. Do I feel like I am the most efficient at it? And like I spend way more time than what I should be doing, where someone else could just like go in there, chef it up, like be done with it, whatever. My dad was like, okay, if I pose to you, if you could work, let's say 2 or 3 hours extra or cook dinner, what are you going to choose? I'm working the job for 2 or 3 hours extra versus cooking dinner. Like, unless I have a meal kit delivery service where I'm not having to go to the grocery store or something like that, or literally a cheese quesadilla, don't ask me, because the answer is immediately no. There is nothing that I love more than a man who knows how to use a grill and knows how to use a grill properly, because I can do a protein and a vegetable and be done if they're doing it.
I'm with you on that. I'm so with you on that. I would rather work 5 extra hours than to come home and try to figure out a meal plan and do all of this. Like you said, unless there's a meal delivery service or it's like a pasta, please do not count on me to cook. Please don't. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. My kids probably wouldn't prefer my cooking. Like, if it came down to like me or their dads, I think the only one that I would trump would be Hobby, because Hobby can't cook for shit. Like, it's awful. So, I would. What
does Hobby cook?
He doesn't.
Well, that can't be awful if he doesn't cook, Kail. It's just like he's.
Oh, I mean, like it would be awful if we relied on him.
Oh, okay.
Because we would be. You ever see like the birds that are starving out in the wild and they all flock to something, or like, you know, stray cats and dogs.
Buzzards. They're called like buzzards.
Yeah, like we would be like that. So
I cannot.
You know, sometimes you just have to leave cooking to the experts, but I'm not an expert. I am just a regular person cooking every day healthy meals with Green Chef. It's been really, really great for sports nights. We have baseball, basketball, and flag football right now in our house. And so game days, practice days, Green Chef comes in handy. And I know that you have talked about this too, Lindsie.
I literally just said a few minutes ago that the only time I'm ever cooking is if I have meal kits. And from Green Chef, I ordered this week the Mediterranean turkey burgers, and it has Brussels sprouts with it, which is one of my absolute favorites. I'm a big turkey burger fan. And then the spicy beef and broccoli noodle bowl. I'm also a big fan of bowls, and they've got a bunch of good ones. So those are 2 that I'm trying this week.
Let me know how you like the spicy noodles and beef one, because that sounds really good. And I'm a big noodles person. So that sounds really good. If you guys want to try this, you can go to greenchef.com/convo60 and use code convo60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. Again, go to greenchef.com/convo60 and use code convo60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. This is the #1 meal kit for eating well.
Wait, while we're on the topic of relationships, this is something that I've struggled with in relationships. And I saw this TikTok, and this is the quote from it. I can post it so that you guys can watch like the thing in its entirety, but not going to play it. It says, I don't care how long you've been together. The years mean nothing if you're being made a fool out of behind your back, doing this, behind your back, doing that. The years mean nothing. And that's something that I was very hung up in my marriage and caused my marriage to probably last longer than what it should have. And it's also something that I hung on to, even though a year doesn't seem like a long time in the grand scheme of things, because I had invested a year's worth of time in Suburban Dad. I felt like because of that, I owed the situation, even though the disrespect was there and the lack of trust was there. I felt like because there was time invested and because there was an investment with the children, that I owed the situation more time.
I don't know if I've ever felt that about the time, because I've always read, like, you know, you can't stay with someone because you have history. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've always been kind of that kind of person. It's never been about the history. Like, I will leave someone. I mean, y'all have seen it throughout the years. I'm teen mom. Like, I'll leave someone when I'm not happy. I don't care. And the hobby was the longest, where it was like I stayed for far too long. But I needed to get my ducks in a row. Chris, I was just like absolutely in love with him, but it was never about the years that I had invested. It was just about like how I felt about him. But I do understand why people hold on. Like I'm not going to say names, but I do know someone who has been with someone on and off since high school. And he had 2 babies on her and, you know, all of this, but she will still stay by his side to this day. For the simple, in my outside perspective, opinion, whatever, perception, is because of the history. There's nothing more than just the history. And that doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like that when you get wrapped up in staying focused on the history versus the other things that like should matter, right? Like the trust, the respect, all the other things that are on your list of like, this is what I need out of a relationship. And those needs aren't being met, but you're staying because, oh, I've invested X amount of time. That to me is a very toxic pattern to get yourself in. I've been in it multiple times. I'm a very bad leaver. I'm a very good recycler. And I think that it is truly because of my childhood and me not having a mother there growing up. Even though Julie was a mother figure and she did adopt me, it was very different because my dad didn't allow her to take on a role as a mother, even though she was there. My dad was like, this is my kid. You know, he had very set rules and boundaries there. So I think because I did not have that I know what it feels like to be left. Mm-hmm. And so I have a really hard time leaving.
That's so interesting. I think I'm the opposite. I have an easier time leaving because I think my mom didn't leave when she should have. My mom I had a lot of stepdads. So my mom did leave, but I don't necessarily think that she left because she wanted to. I think she left because they left her, kind of thing, where like I don't let them leave me. I've left every single person. I left every single person, including Jordan.
I think that there are leavers and then there are stayers, right?
Are you a leaver or are you a stayer?
I'm a stayer. Mm-hmm. I think, even though I ultimately ended my marriage and ended another relationship, it took a long period of time for me to be able to do that and to like make that decision. Mm-hmm. And I get in my own head of, you know, because I have invested this much time and because we have these memories, I need to like figure out how
to make it work,
to stay and like make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I do understand that.
Tell me about your kids and Whitney Houston.
I was just about to transition to that. Okay. So I need your thoughts on this because I'm very open with my kids, but I think I'm open in the sense that like, I do like to be the initiator of those open conversations. I don't necessarily think that those conversations need to be happening at school. Like kind of like our conversation about sex ed, like we need to be having those conversations with our kids at home. And then the school could maybe follow up in health class. Right. But like to start the conversation, I don't really know. So Lux and Lincoln go to the same school. They're in 3rd grade and kindergarten. And Lincoln comes home from school. He's in my back seat. Lux is in the back seat. And he tells me that Whitney Houston, was the singer. He learned about her in music class, but she died in the bathtub from an overdose on drugs. And I didn't know. And I was just like kind of taken aback by that. And so then I have my kindergartner in the car and he said, Mrs. So-and-so died from drugs. because he misunderstood what Lincoln said. And also he's in kindergarten, so he doesn't know who Whitney Houston is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know how I feel about that whole situation, because yes, I probably would have told my kids about Whitney Houston and her legacy and all of that. And then also followed it up with, and then she passed away from drugs, just to kind of open the door to a conversation about drugs. And maybe I wouldn't have done it like this year, like maybe it would have come up later on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know how I feel about that part of it being discussed in my son's third grade music class.
I mean, I think that it is, I probably would feel that exact same way if Jackson came home saying that. But then also you got to consider it is part of music history. And to leave it out, I could imagine the school would probably say, oh, well, then we didn't complete the actual course on Whitney Houston or like whatever without, having a beginning, middle, and the end.
But could they have said, she passed away? Like she passed away unexpectedly? Like, did they have to add the drugs thing for third grade? Because that's definitely, I've talked to my kids about fentanyl. I've talked about, Lux has been asking a lot about my mom. And so I have talked to him about, my mom's sick. My mom drinks alcohol. My mom's on drugs, and drug is also an alcohol. I mean, alcohol is also a drug, and kind of explaining those things to him. But I just don't know that in school, I feel like that just could have been left out of a third grade classroom. It's not like it was Isaac in music class in 7th grade and they were explaining it that way, and then they have health class where they can learn about ODs and drugs and things like that. I feel like I would have been more comfortable with it at Isaac's school versus elementary school.
I think unfortunately, because of our society today, that schools have become progressive in that way of introducing kids to these types of things in school. So it's not the first time they're hearing about it when they're saying no to drugs because they have Red Ribbon Week, DARE. Remember when we talked about DARE?
Yeah. But DARE didn't start I feel like DARE didn't start for me until 5th, 6th grade. I don't remember. I feel like DARE
it was in elementary school.
Was it?
Yeah, it was in elementary school.
Oh, Kristen's nodding her head. So yeah, I guess you could be right.
And so in my opinion, if our kids are going to be exposed to it through the internet or articles that pop up or whatever, wouldn't you rather them be exposed to it in an educational classroom where they have the opportunity to be able to ask questions versus them hearing about it, reading about it, not really understanding it, not having an opportunity to ask questions, feeling weird, so they don't want to ask questions? I would rather it be from an educational standpoint in a safe environment.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, I just didn't know how to feel about it. And then Lux in, kindergarten, the music teacher died from drugs. I think that if it was just Lincoln telling me this, I'd be like, oh, wow. But then Lux adding his 2 cents because he misunderstood. And, it wasn't Lincoln's fault that he brought it up in front of Lux. And Lux couldn't, he doesn't know any different. But yeah, I mean, I guess an early intervention. I mean, if you explain to the kids what drugs are and what they can do early, versus middle school when they're already maybe starting to hear about it and experiment, or high school when they're experimenting. Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. That's why I wanted to get your thoughts. I feel like you would have a very neutral or I don't know, good thoughts on it. So thanks for that.
And I think about, back to the sex ed thing. It was just when I was growing up in my household, my dad didn't have those conversations with us girls. And it was just basically the forbidden fruit. You just don't do it. So we don't need to provide education around this because it's just something that you're specifically not going to do. And I was talking about on the Southern Tea how there are certain things that I parent differently than I was parented. And these are some of the things I think coming from a place of education, because our kids are going to hear about these things. They're going to be exposed to these things outside of your control. So why not educate them the best way that you possibly can, age appropriately, before they're exposed to it somewhere else, or you risk the chance of not educating them at all. And then there be the experimentation side, whether it be with drugs, sex, whatever. And then it's a little too late.
Right. Yeah, I mean, once I started having the conversation about sex, it was far too late. So that didn't really work out for me. Yeah, that is a very good point. So, all right, y'all. You guys know that I talk a lot about my finances on here, especially with Kristen's help. And sometimes I do feel like some of my financial goals are a little out of reach because I am constantly struggling with online ordering and things like that. And I did have a struggle a little bit with building my credit. And I don't know why, but with Chime, you're able to build your credit with your own money, which is really nice. Chime has a secured credit builder Visa credit card, and you start building credit with your own money through on-time payments and small everyday purchases like groceries, streaming, and gas, which is really nice. So this is a really good option if you're if you're wanting to set new financial goals and build your credit.
Members see an increase of 30 points to their credit scores on average, and Chime reports your payments to the major credit bureaus to help you build credit over time, all with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. Start making your financial dreams a reality with Chime. Sign up only takes 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/convos. That's chime.com/convos. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank in a pursuant to a license from Visa USA Chime checking account, and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Based on a study conducted by Experian, Credit Builder members observed an average 30-point FICO score 8 increase after 8 months with regular on-time payments. Results may vary. See chime.com for details. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply, except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Wait, can you tell me about your 9 minutes per day of undivided attention? Because Kristen and I were talking about focus mode on the Southern Tea this week, and how she was telling about this TikTok about basically putting your phone away for an hour and like doing these tasks. So I want to hear about this 9-minute method because it seems different than what we were talking about there.
So this man, I'm pretty sure he was like a child therapist of some sort or some sort of medical background or psychiatry background. And he was talking about 9 minutes of undivided attention per child per day. And he said specifically that the two most important times were the first 3 minutes after they wake up and the first 3 minutes before they go to bed. And then the other 3 minutes, like maybe after school or whatever. So maybe like the third set of 3 minutes could be after school or something like that. And so he was just saying like those are the ones that they're going to remember. They're going to have the most impact. And I thought to myself, like, 9 minutes is not hard to put your fucking phone down and like spend that 9 minutes. And we've talked about that before, like the undivided quality attention. And I do struggle with that with the kids because it's always chaos. But he specifically said in the morning when they wake up and before they go to bed. And those are the two most chaotic times for me. And so I say all of that to say, like, everyone goes through trauma. Every parent, no matter how much trauma you went through as a child, you are going to inflict some sort of trauma on your own children unintentionally. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I've done so much trauma, I'm sure, to my children. Is that going to outweigh these 9 minutes that I'm trying to give undivided to each child? Am I getting through to my child? Am I spending enough undivided attention with them? And then on top of that, I'm like, at night when I am putting the kids to bed, I lay with Creed, I put him to bed. I lay with Lux, I put him to bed. And then over the last several months, Lincoln has been asking me to lay with him. And so then after I put Lux to bed, I'm laying with Lincoln. And I just feel so, am I giving them enough? Like, is that 3 minutes enough? Am I doing it correctly? Is this going to outweigh the traumas that I've given them or that I've put on them? It just feels like a lot. 9 minutes is not a lot, but in the grand scheme of things is a lot, especially for people with multiple children.
So now I'm going to apply this 1 hour rule where I put my phone down in focus mode and get just task done for an hour. Like anything I can get done for an hour. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to try this 9 minute of undivided attention. I think it's definitely easier for parents that have one child because it's 9 minutes.
Right.
For you with multiples, that's how many minutes? Like 18, 30 yeah, whatever. Like
40. Yeah, 40. Well, it's almost 10 minutes. So 10 minutes each
40.
is, 40. And that's fine. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but Lincoln asked me to play horse the other day, and I was like, you know what, this is, my time to shine with him. So none of the other kids came out and they didn't want to. But I noticed like Creed will be like, play with me. And I'm like, okay, so I have to, do that. But it's hard. And I get nervous that like I could do all of these good things that I'm supposed to do to minimize trauma and like really bond with my kids. But also, is the trauma going to outweigh that? Because I saw another TikTok that was very separate and completely unrelated. And she was like, you could take your kids to Disney World, but they still will remember the time you smacked them for, not following the rules 3 years prior. And I'm like, well, damn, like what, is there any, you can't win for losing.
So it's interesting that we're talking about all these things that we want to implement in our life, because when I was going through my daily devotional today, it was titled the 5-minute rule. And it says, I read about a 5-minute rule that a mother had for her children. They had to be ready for school 5 minutes before it was time to leave each day. They would gather around mom and she would pray for each one of them by name, asking for the Lord's blessing on their day. And then she'd give them a kiss and off they'd run. Even neighborhood kids would be included on the prayer circle if they happened to stop by. And even though you might not be praying with your kids 5 minutes before school each day, it's definitely something I'm going to be doing, praying over my child. I want Will to implement this at his house. I think just for you, like that can be like a manifestation rule, like over your kids for 5 minutes before school starts. And you can do it with them all together, maybe, because then you're not feeling like, oh, well, I've got to do, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. It's a lot. I can't imagine parents that I think about it with one of my friends who has to, it's like a divide and conquering thing with kids in sports that have multiples. And it's like, you feel like you're not doing enough as a mom or as a dad when you're, inevitably choosing to go to one child's thing over another. Like, how do you make those types of choices? And how do you give each child enough? I don't know how you don't beat yourself up as parents of multiples. It's like a whole different breed of parenting.
Well, so this coming Saturday, Lincoln has a basketball game at 10 a.m. and Lux has baseball practice at 10 a.m.
I can't.
So it's, and it's hard because, I've had these conversations recently with Joe. And I already talked about it on Baby Mama, so I don't have to like reiterate it here. But, I had to remind him that he has 2 kids. They've got to divide and conquer. And as much as it sucks, like, and he said to me, you've been doing this longer. And I said, yeah, but unfortunately you got to figure it out. And same thing for Javi. Like, months ago when we were doing this whole basketball thing, I was like, you can't minimize what's best for Lincoln to suit the convenience of yourself to be in both places at the same time for both of your kids. I said, Lincoln deserves the challenge that he really needs in sports to excel. And if that means that you can't attend everything for Lincoln and you need to be there for your other son, that's okay. And that doesn't make you a bad dad. I think for a long time, Javi and I specifically would pit ourselves against each other and basically hold it over each other's heads, if we didn't make it to one of Lincoln's practices or if we didn't make it to one of his games. And so we would really hold it over each other's head. And really, that's not fair.
No, it's not fair. And I'm concerned about that if, I move on and, if God plans for me to have another child and it's with someone else, inevitably that will be a whole household where that child will have a mom and a dad under the same roof. Mm-hmm. That in itself makes me feel guilty. And then to know that there would be like another child taking time, I just don't know how I would do that. And so I think it is a very interesting dynamic when you have like a nuclear family unit one place, and then you have a child that is going to both parents' homes 50% of the time, and then them falling back into that nuclear family at one house and then a blended one at another. Like that's a whole, we could talk about that for days.
Oh yeah, 100% we could. I have a lot to say on that. So if y'all ever want to hear it, let us know. Coffee Combos Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. We've talked about a lot this episode, and there's so much going on in the world that I really feel like we can all benefit from therapy. It's been a little over 3 years for me, and I know Lindsie is in therapy, Kristen's in therapy, and we just discuss it regularly. So if you guys don't know already, BetterHelp is a fantastic option if you're thinking about therapy. It's convenient, it's flexible, it's affordable, and it's all online.
When you are at your best, you can do great things. And our whole team of gals on our team know this. Sometimes life can just get you bogged down and make you feel overwhelmed, or like you're just not showing up in the way that you want to. And working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself, because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything life throws at you. And you guys, you're just going to fill out a brief questionnaire. It's so easy to get matched with a licensed therapist and to switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which I think is a great perk. And if you want to live a more empowered life and give therapy a chance, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/coffee today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/coffee. Want to discuss, because this morning I have to tell you about my level of motherhood. I'm going to call it motherhood psychosis, because I've been so distraught over this Nashville school shooting.
Yeah,
that
it's so sad.
I couldn't get up and get myself together.
Oh, well, we should, since you brought it up, we should actually offer a trigger warning to those listening. We are about to just mention, acknowledge, really think about the victims of the Nashville shooting. And if you don't want to listen to this, this is your trigger warning. You can fast forward a few minutes.
I woke up and I was like, I can't even get myself together. Like, I didn't go to the gym. Waited until after school traffic like died down, and then went and sat like at the library across the street from Jackson's school and just like looked at the school. Like, I don't know why I did that, but I just went there and was like looking at the school. And actually, I'll tell you why I did it, because I was trying to look at the entry points of the school to be like, could someone get in here? And when Jackson first started school, I was very weird about him going to school because of all of the school shootings that you and I have talked about over the years. And I was just very weird about it. Didn't want him in a place like that. And Will was like, well, a shooting could happen anywhere. Like, you could be in the grocery store, you could be at the school, you could be, wherever, and it could happen. And so you can't just think like that. You have to put your faith in, whatever is going to happen for your life is already predetermined, and, that's it. And I have a really hard time doing that because I want to protect my child from harm's way and make sure that nothing is going to happen to him, because I would not be a contributing member of society if something ever happened to my child. And I know that if something devastating happened to my child, I would not be able to function. And so watching the coverage on this Nashville school shooting, CBS News did a really good job putting together an article. And I'm just going to read it. It says, a shooter opened fire at a private Christian grade school in Nashville Monday, killing 3 children and 3 adults. The shooter was fatally shot by police at the Covenant School in the city's affluent Green Hills neighborhood. Nashville Police Chief John Drake said preliminary investigation indicated the shooting was targeted. We have a manifesto. We have some writings that were going on, that we're going over to pertain to this date and the actual incident. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place. The probe suggested the shooter was a student at the school, though Drake didn't know when. The detectives have said so far there's a possibility of some resentment for having to go to that school. Authorities identified the 3 victims. So they all have already been identified, and 3 of them were adults. 3 of them were children that are close to Jackson and Lincoln's age. The police identified the shooter as a 28-year-old female from Nashville, and said that she was armed with at least 2 assault-style weapons and a handgun. And they described the guns used to carry out the shooting as 2 AR-style weapons, a rifle and a pistol, in addition to another handgun. Authorities believe 2 of the weapons may have been obtained legally and locally. And police have released surveillance video showing the shooter firing through the glass panes on the doors, entering the building, and then roaming the hallways, going in and out of rooms with weapon at the hip. And when she entered the side door, she moved from the first floor to the second floor, and she was firing multiple shots. The officers were able to enter the first story of the school building and began to clear it when they heard gunfire on the second level. And at that point, that's when they engaged the shooter, and she was fatally shot by 2 of the 5 responding police officers at the scene. It said the shooter was taken down within 14 minutes of the initial call, and CBS News has a quote where it says, "That's amazing, even for a remarkable group," and it saved many, many lives. I think a lot of people were talking about how did it take 14 minutes for them to do that. I think that people don't understand that this is not the typical situation that has ever happened in Nashville before at a school like this. And so for them
also, how do you expect it to not be 14 minutes? I mean, you have to call for help. You have to call police, and they have to drive there.
Yeah.
And the situation is so heartbreaking, but we're all humans, right? So like, you can't expect them to teleport to the location. So I definitely think, as fucking sad and horrible as it is, so many more lives could have been lost. I actually didn't know that I didn't know that she was killed. I didn't know the shooter was killed.
Yeah. It said that the shooter had established a tactical position, and that police body camera footage showed officers rushing into gunfire. And has been said that it could have been significantly worse had the police not gotten there as quickly as they did.
Right.
And a quote from one of the officers that spoke to the news, and I watched this coverage, said, "When we send our kids to school or to any place of safety, we expect them to live, learn, have fun, and come back from that day's experience. We don't anticipate things like this." And that is so very true. Also said that they strongly believe there was going to be some other targets, including maybe family members, and one to the malls there in Nashville, and that all of that, was stopped before it happened. So I don't know if maybe they inferred that from the maps and stuff that they have uncovered. I don't know. Evidently something's leading them to that, but this is truly a family's absolute worst nightmare. I could not even fathom sending my child to school, and I was thinking about how the residents of the city of Nashville probably, if they had their TVs on or their radios on, probably heard about this and didn't know if it was their child or not.
That I could not imagine hearing it in real time on those scanners and things like that. One of Lincoln's football teammates' mom messaged me the other day and said that she actually learned of her mother's death from her husband's police scanner. Not police scanner, firefighter, whatever scanner they have. That's how she learned that her mom died. So I cannot imagine your child. This is like no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And watching the press conference where the officer was saying that, we have identified all of the victims' parents, I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like. And the hope that you would have, the fear that you would have had to have had knowing that there was a shooting that happened at your child's school, and knowing that there were 6 victims, not knowing who those were because identities had not been released, and then getting the phone call that it was your child. I truly could not even imagine. So my heart goes out to these parents, I saw this on Instagram this morning. It says, these are children who woke up and had breakfast with their families this morning. They tied their little shoes, held tightly to their backpacks. They giggled and played with their friends, went to school today, deserving a tomorrow. They expected to go home to the love of their parents. 3 children and 3 adults lost their lives today. This cannot keep happening.
I have literal goosebumps because it's so true. And that goes whether you, because it was a Christian school, right?
Yeah.
And that goes for any school where children are, where there's teachers who take care of our children. Like that goes for any, whether you believe in God or you don't, that is across the board.
This could happen anywhere. It just happened to be this school. And it was not somebody that was internally in this school. This was somebody that potentially, I don't think that they've released the full information if this person was a student there at one point, 28 years old now. So this was an outside threat. And I honestly just cannot even imagine. I saw this other video and I'm going to share it on Coffee Convo's Instagram page as well as my personal one. And I'll send it to you as well. But it was a video on how to talk to your kids. And this is kind of coming full circle to the conversation that we were just having about drugs, that as moms or parents, just in general, sometimes you don't know how to talk to your kids about hard stuff. And this was a video that was just kind of giving you direction on how to do so. And it said, stay calm, be the source, let them lead, give them space to feel. It's okay to feel with them, not to process with them, and answer questions age appropriately and honestly. Talk about what they can control. Look for the helpers and be one. Ask what would help them feel safe at school. And don't feel like you have to have all the answers, and remind them of the truth you know. I think these are all very important things. I'll make sure to post the video so that you guys can see it in its entirety. But I know sometimes I have a hard time approaching conversations with Jackson like this because I am fearful that I'm going to scare him too much, but I want him to have the knowledge to know what does happen in this world. I don't want him to be jaded or to think that serious things like this don't happen, because this is very real.
Right. Like we don't want to create the anxiety, but also we need to be realistic that this does happen, and it can truly happen anywhere, like you said. And just like the fentanyl thing, I mean, I definitely feel like it's important for me to have these conversations with my kids. It's hard when something like this happens and they're with their dads because I can't address it with them. I guess I could text them about it. But I unfortunately have to wait, and I don't know if their dads are talking to them about it. And, you know, the whole situation is sad, but I think you're right. I think we should definitely post these, just so people, you know, just to give them like a little bit of a guide if they don't know. And, you know, keep in mind they're kids, so they may have questions and you may not have all the answers, and it's okay to tell them that you don't have all the answers, but that they can come to you anytime to talk about it or ask questions, or, you know, you guys can find the answer together if you don't know.
I text Will this morning and said, I'm so sad about the school shooting yesterday. Stuff like that always puts me in a bad, anxious place. I think I have something wrong with me. Literally just parked outside the school for absolutely no reason. And I said, I want to talk to Jackson about it. I found this video on how to talk to your kids, because how do you know if you're saying the right things? And he said, Jackson asked me about it yesterday, and I told him that's what code reds are for. Will is very, like, he doesn't want Jackson to be scared, and he wants to just give like the very general information with like not much emotion involved. Like, hey buddy, it's okay. You know, if you guys have code red drills at school, that's what it's preparing for in the event that like something happened. So always like be sure you're on your P's and Q's when you're doing code red drills or, you know, tornado drills or whatever. Like, this is for your safety. And I just told Will, like, I'm going to have a bigger conversation with him, because he probably has questions that he would not ask his dad in the same way that he would ask me.
Also same. Like, especially my older two, will ask me things that I know that they don't ask their dads. So, yeah, and that's okay too. Like if there's a better, just like you said, it came full circle. Like if you're more efficient or you're better at explaining things and, you know, kind of answering things in a better way for the kids and on their level, you know, let that parent do that. That's okay. That doesn't mean the other parent is a bad parent, but you know, my kids, I'm going to answer things for my children very differently than their dads are.
So I just want to say that we all stand with Nashville. I'm praying for Nashville.
Yes.
I'm praying for the families.
Absolutely.
Praying for the parents, the siblings, the first responders, law
all
enforcement.
The kids that have been traumatized by the whole situation. This will stick with them forever. So we're sending all the love and condolences.
I want to read this daily vibe before we get into foul play because I saw it and very good for us today. It says, today, focus on what is in front of you, not behind you. Make the present your primary focus. Remember, today is a gift. Use yesterday as wisdom, experience, and insight, and today to make the right choices for your next steps ahead. Affirm, I am rooted in this present moment. I am grateful for every breath that flows through me. Okay, and on that note, we are going to do some foul stuff. Not that I'm really in the mood for it, but
we got to keep the vibes up. I mean, it's been a really sad week. So
it has.
Foul play. Anonymous, please. Here's a foul play for you. A few years ago, I was mid-divorce and feeling slutty, so I hooked up with George. I snuck him into my house because my ex-husband lived across town, but he was spying on me all the time.
Oh, God.
Anyway, George was eating my kitty, and I heard the dog make a weird noise. I opened my eyes, and guess who? My ex-husband, Chad, was standing in the bedroom doorway. I calmly said, George, Chad is here. George stood up, butt naked, and said, oh, hey, man. And then my ex slammed the door and stormed out of the house. I chased him onto the porch, still naked, FYI. So Chad left and George left, and I was mortified, naked on the porch. But George and I just got married, so I guess it didn't scare him off.
Okay. I have a lot.
Why didn't she change the locks?
Okay, but no, like you shouldn't have to. And that was the point that I was about to get at, because I can tell you, I have never driven by Will's house from the time that I moved out of our marital home to the house that he's in now. I've never driven by his house to try to spy to see if something was going on, because what I don't know does not hurt me. What I know might hurt me and also him. So there's going to be no drive-bys.
Mm-hmm.
I am alarmed by that situation. If you are comfortable enough with someone eating your kitty, then your ex-husband definitely shouldn't be comfortable enough at that point to be coming into the home.
No, that's actually terrifying. And to like calmly watch that too is absolutely terrifying.
Because now you're a serial killer.
I have some stories. I mean, I've definitely done a drive-by on a situation where I was being lied to, but it wasn't a situation where we were done and I was checking up. It was very much we were in a relationship and you were actively lying to me. And then another situation, I've had an ex. You guys will be able to do process of elimination here. I think we were broken up at the time. It was very much on and off. I had those blinds, those like plastic skinny blinds in my first apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I had someone over and said person kissed me. It wasn't a makeout session. It was just like a kiss on the mouth. Mm-hmm. And my on and off again boyfriend was peering through those blinds in my window.
No, that's called a peeping Tom.
And then he lost his fucking mind. So that happened. And then I also, like the whole shower situation with Joe back when I was in my first apartment, that I definitely cheated on Jordan and he showed up at the house. But he showed up. Like that's still, I don't know.
Okay, wait. If we're going to do all of this, then I will tell you.
We're going to do all of this. Here we
if we're going to do all of this, then I will tell you, because I'm not going to let you just like look like a crazy person for doing drive-bys when I have also. Okay. So, you know, my friend Caroline.
Yes.
One time we got a wild hair sitting at my house. It was just like a pizza and a champagne night. And we were just posted up here. And she was like, if your gut tells you something's not right, then like you need to act on it. And in fact, I'm going to act on it for you. And then she was like, it's only 14 minutes for me to find out. So this was a game that we played that night called Fuck Around and Find Out. So she drove over to said person's house and sees a car parked outside. And we immediately know it's a girl's car. And why do we know it's a girl's car? Because a boy doesn't drive that car.
Right. You just know. Like, you just know.
And I'm like, Caroline, did you get out? Like, I have full videos of like the drive-by, like the full thing. I'm like, did you get out and see if there was like a makeup bag in the car to confirm that's like a girl's car?
You weren't there? You weren't with her?
No, I was home because Jackson was here. He was sleeping. So we were just having girls' night, and she goes and does the drive-by. And I'm like, okay, if someone's there, like, on God, I'm going back.
You said on God. You're like, on God, I'm going back.
I am going back. So Kristen's probably howling in the background of this. She's probably like.
And she is.
She has no business telling this. But I'm telling it anyway. And so Caroline comes back and she's like, yep. And so, you know, I FaceTime with this person that is doing these shady things and trying to act like, you know, nothing's going on. And like, I warned this person, like, I know you're up to something, like you're doing shady stuff. Like, why are you searching for something in your truck? Why are you pretending like you're doing laundry at this time of night? Why are you walking around in your robe? Like, why aren't you in your bed? Like, what's going on in your bed? So I go over there.
Hold on.
Okay.
So wait. He answers your FaceTime and he's searching for something in his truck?
He called me on his FaceTime.
Okay, so I need to tell you that in Kail's cheating era, I would also do these things. So I know that that is a cheating situation.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, there's nothing for you to even be searching for in your truck. Like, there's nothing to find. So, like, why are you in there? So, and it was like a frantic, you know, thing. So it was like, okay, yeah, you're definitely up to something. And also I know that a, you know, car is there because Caroline's on her way back and has told me there's a vehicle there. And I also have videos. So yeah, this is what's going to happen. So then I leave the house and I'm like, don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going there. I'm on the phone with Caroline whole time. She's on speaker. I'm like, stay on the phone with me. Like, I need a witness, like be on the phone, ring the doorbell. No one comes to the door. And I'm like, literally, I know people are here because your vehicles are here. And also this bitch's vehicle's here. So absolutely answer the fucking door. Ring, 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 ring. Dog comes to the door barking. And I'm like, so this is her dog. And then all of a sudden she comes running through the house with no clothes on.
Wait, this girl had her dog over there too?
Yeah. Like
no
her
fucking
dog.
way. No
her
fucking way.
Dog over there.
No.
And the only thing he could say, I was like, and why was her dog here? And he was like, she wasn't supposed to have her dog here. And I'm like, and her pussy wasn't supposed to be here either, but it was.
Her cat wasn't supposed to be here neither.
So like, and just like butt naked, like in the house, like butt naked. And at that point,
Kristen is cackling. Like she's like this in the desk cackling right now.
And I'm like, first of all, well, then the person asked me who I was. And I'm like, no, bitch, who the fuck are you? Because like, I am his girlfriend and you got on no clothes. So that's what I know. And he's also wearing clothes that I bought him. So yeah.
No, absolutely the fuck not.
Like a boner in shorts that I bought.
Not a boner in the shorts he bought.
Boner and shorts that I bought.
No. See, I would have had to, I know we're not promoting violence, but like I would have had to break a car window.
Kristen's cackling. I can hear her in the background.
She's like, Kail, don't even fucking go there.
Don't go there. No. Like, I was like, well, nice knowing you guys. Like, good for you. You suck. And then
this is like that trending TikTok sound. I'm not as mean as I could be, and y'all should be more thankful for that.
Literally. So on God, that's what happened. I'm not okay. I kind of feel
on God.
I kind of feel anxiety about even talking about it because the whole situation gives me PTSD. Like, I hope that never happens to me again in my life. And just want to say, like, just don't be a cheater. Like, because Caroline is basically like, catch a cheater, she will catch you. Like,
next week, remind me to talk about something that I used to do to my cheater boyfriend to catch him in lies.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So just want to say, don't do drive-bys, because it just doesn't end well.
No, it's never going to end well, and you're going to put yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in. Really quickly, do you want to read it, or you want me to read it?
You.
Okay. Hi, girls. I wanted to share a foul play that happened in college with my boyfriend. Andrew came home one weekend from college, and of course I went over to his house to hang out. We were laying in bed watching a movie, and one thing led to another. He started to finger me, and we were both getting into it. After a few minutes, I noticed he wasn't getting into it like he normally does. I got frustrated and grabbed his hand and guided him, shoving his hand in my, No, I don't know. Was it your
kitty.
ass?
Your kitty.
Oh. But she said he was already fingering her.
Meow.
I could tell he either way, I still came. Afterwards, we were both just laying in bed when it dawned on me that I was on my period and I had a tampon in all day, and then I totally forgot about it. I immediately jumped up and screamed like, "Oh my God, Andrew, why didn't you tell me? I totally forgot I had a tampon in." He burst out laughing and said, "I was waiting for you to realize." I grabbed his hand and there was blood on his fingers. I immediately started crying. He looked at his hand and said, "It's okay, don't worry." He goes to wash his hands and I'm still crying, totally mortified. I go into the bathroom after him and remove my tampon, totally full of blood. He never brought it up again. He knew how embarrassed I was. We resumed watching the movie and never spoke of it again. He was honestly the best boyfriend. P.S. I went to visit him in college one weekend, and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he got bone-in mango habanero wings. First of all, the mango habanero is so fucking good. We got back to his apartment, and he started to finger me, totally forgetting to wash his hands.
No.
My cat was on fire. I ran to the bathroom that him and his roommate shared, half naked and screaming, "My vagina is on fire." I turned on the shower and started to apply cold water. His roommates thought it was the funniest thing. Needless to say, him and I went through a lot together. Well, I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't sound like they ended up together, but that sounds like Chris's Hot Cheetos story.
He fingered you with hot Cheetos?
No, not me. Oh my God. I'm very weird about hands and nails. So like I have to physically see you wash your hands in order for you to put your dirty ass fingers in my cat.
Wait, so that's where I was going with the next part of this, that if you go out like for wing night, you should immediately expect that you're coming home and both showering before you get in the bed. And you need to scrub your hands. You need to scrub underneath your nails. And if your nails are long, absolutely not. Like, I don't want you touching my cat because you could give me a scratch that I don't want.
No, literally. Like, I don't want cat scratch fever at all.
Literally. Like,
Facts.
I'm not.
I don't. And Elijah used to really gross me out because he used to have long nails. And I'm like, I don't know how your previous girlfriends like put up with this. Like, why? And he faithfully cuts his nails now. And like, no cat scratch fever. Speaking of that, I have a pregnant cat right now, which we'll get into next week as well. Yes. So just remind me.
Okay. So I'm going to remind you about the pregnant cat and how to catch a cheater.
Yeah. How to catch a cheater. Exactly.
So you guys tune in next week. For now, that is all we have. If you have not subscribed to the show, you can do that by searching the Purple Podcast app. Click subscribe, click the 5th star, leave us a written review. You can find us pretty much on all podcast apps and always first at Podcast One. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. Available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.